This is Jocelyn Mackenzie.
Hi. I don't know why I did this.
We are collaborators, friends, people who love each other, sisters.
Not biologically, but yes.
I have wanted to do a jam and a day with you for a very long time because you're an amazing songwriter. I think you understand the craft in a way that is very special and unique. I think that I've always enjoyed the way you approach songwriting. I've been thinking about love, what it is to me, what I want it to be, how I want it to feel. So I wanted to ask you, what makes something a love song?
There's always, like, for me, a little bit of a tinge of obsession that comes with it. That, like, there's no other way for me to get this emotion out of me other than to sing about it. Because if there was, I wouldn't have to sing about it. There are love songs that are about celebrating this feeling or this person or this thing or this attachment that we have. And then there's a love song that's like mourning it and dealing with the pain of losing it. It could just be like grief. I mean, sometimes there's loves that are unrequited to begin with so that they never happened, or a love for a person that we never met. Like, in fact, like, I think every song is a love song. Like, what makes something not a love song is actually, I think, more rare to find a song that is not one. Is a lust song a love song? Probably not. But then if we're talking about that, what is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Baby, don't hurt me no more. What is love? So I'm reminded, I know you love movies.
I do.
Emily loves movies. I'm reminded of the movie Interstellar. With Matthew McConaughey. So it turns out love is a dimension. Love has
everything to do with it.
Everything to do with the fifth element. Like, love is the fifth element. It's the thing that guides us all. So, like, I don't take it for granted that it's, like, cooked into our DNA to make decisions based on this feeling. And that it is probably the least logical and most confusing emotion that I've experienced, because it rarely makes sense. So rarely makes sense. So songwriting in terms of love,
to make sense.
The effort is songwriting. Love songs are trying to make sense out of a nonsensical thing. Completely.
I like it.
That's one way to think of it, but it's what I'm working with right now.
And I can see the argument go for, okay, well then every song is making sense of some kind of.
The Shins have a line in their song, "Every single story is a story about love." I love that lyric. It's a great lyric.
I think this is over. I think we're done now.
Goodbye.
We're done here.
Mic drop. They didn't even talk about a single jam.
As a songwriter, do you have something in your catalog that you turn to every time that you're just like, that got the closest to expressing the deepest? That actually is almost hard for you to sing because it.
Oh yeah, I do. I really do have that one. Yeah. Tell me yours and I'll tell you mine.
I'll tell you mine.
I want to know yours.
One that's hard to sing. You sing it on the Pearl and the Beard album, but I wrote the lyrics for it. I think Good Death is hard for me to sing.
Yeah.
That one's really hard.
That was hard for me to sing, and I didn't even write the words.
Part of the beauty of song and word is that it's a time capsule.
Yeah.
That you can pick it up. I imagine like a kaleidoscope, and you're like looking at it, and it's like, oh my, and I'm transported into this space that it's very either painful or beautiful, or like, and sometimes the things that you're writing about in the present that are very beautiful, and I mean most things end, all things end. I think that song is like that for me.
Yeah. So those words
but also
are so gorgeous.
It translates differently as the years go on too.
Yeah.
It becomes something. That's what also I love about song and words. The meaning changes, even if the original intent was something completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I break down that song a little bit?
Sure.
Can we do that together? So, Good Death is one of my favorite songs of all time.
I remember when we decided that you would sing it.
We were fighting!
I don't remember fighting.
We were having a big fight!
No, we weren't.
We were!
We were in my house.
I
was sitting on my bed. And I remember just you being, I just remember like, you're going to sing it. Just sing it.
And that was when I knew our fight was over. Because I wasn't waiting for that.
Album, it was really it was really frustrating. It was a hard album to do. It took us forever.
That's why we called it Beast.
We couldn't come to make sense of it.
Yeah. I remember that we were both individually going through some hard times then. You in particular were having a very specific time in your life, and I just remember hearing these lyrics, "Give me the good death because I've called it willingly."
Give me the good death because I've called it willingly. Just give.
And immediately I was like, fuck you, that's perfect, that is a perfect lyric. But like in a way that was, even just to put the words together, good death. Like I can associate that with like the French, like petite mort, like a little death, like an orgasm.
Well, they call the good death like euthanasia.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that until literally I was today years old.
It's assisted death.
Get the shit out. I never knew that. I thought you were talking about orgasms this whole time.
Well, also...
Well, but it wasn't really about that. What I really thought it was just like, I need this chapter in my life to close. I need this to be over. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you also were begging for permission, which is to me like the ultimate act of love, is to say like, listen, I need to go, but I can't. I need your blessing. But you're also saying, I don't need your permission at all. At the same time, like you're honoring this chapter closing, but also just being like, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm this is what's happening. And like that was so powerful for me. And like especially the melody was so gentle and so delicate, but you're saying this thing that is so incredibly powerful and like inarguable. Like you're not making a case for it, but at the same time like asking for everything to be okay on the other side in this way. But I don't know, it was just so gorgeously written. And then like to move into this, I think about that line too. I think about this line constantly. There are two of your song lyrics that I think about all the time. One of them is in Good Death. I can't escape what I deserve.
Oh yeah.
You slapped that down. And in a way that was like, I also can't escape my own joy and my own freedom and my own bliss. Like I was feeling both sides of it on that, because that song is so bittersweet and so melancholy. It was just stunning. It was just stunning.
Thank you for singing it so beautifully.
It's a love song. It is absolutely a love song.
It's interesting because I love this interpretation of it, and we've never talked about
No!
this. Because for me, when writing that, expiring and not being where I am
Yeah.
would have been better.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why that is like, don't hold it against me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have no... And then there's a reference to the Never-Ending Story
Mm-hmm.
in there too, which always felt like an escapism.
Yeah. Conjure the nothing, I'll contemplate my final breath.
Yeah.
Inside your chest the nothing. Loss always is where you look last.
Conjure the nothing. I'll contemplate my final breath. Inside your chest the nothing. Lost always is where you look last.
The thing that is the most meaningful to me it's the least source of assistance. Mm-hmm. It's where I find the least tenderness, the least gentleness. There is nothing. That's the last place you look is like home.
Yeah.
I'm home. Why would I have loss in my house?
Yeah.
Why would I have loss in my own tenderness?
Yeah.
And so it's a much darker song for me. It's a much sadder song.
Yeah.
And I love your interpretation of it. It feels much more hopeful, much more optimistic.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, it's definitely dark. I mean, but like the way that it was balanced in this tenderness, like you were saying, like it just really felt so encapsulated in this. Like it felt very safe to go dark in that song for me.
And you
to
wrote
hear
the
it.
chorus.
I did. I had just been reading a lot of Kurt Vonnegut at the time, and that just kind of came out. I'm a big fan of like repeating just a word over and over again, and then there's your chorus. And that was the best I could do with that one.
I actually, at the end of the day, I might have even resisted it at the beginning because I wanted context and I wanted like wrap ups and like depth. I mean, this wordy depth, which it already had.
Yeah.
Like, it already had that. So to have the balance in the chorus to be so, this is just the way it is.
And also just melodically too. The verses are very lyrically dense and compacted in a really beautiful way, but the melody is is not super moving. Like, it moves a little bit, but it's like, it's very gentle in the movement. But then the chorus, the words are very simple, but the melody of the chorus is really weird. Like, there's a lot going on melodically. And to me, that kind of balance was the thing that it needed to be like, to show both sides of the coin. Of like, you can say a little in a big way, or you can say a lot in a kind of more compact way.
I liked that balance.
And yeah, it felt really good. And then the bridge, I thought, was really an extension of the verses, that kind of came and kind of, the melody was different, of course, but it like had that same feeling of that I'm gonna really describe this in a way that is super articulate and trim all of the fat, but still get straight to the heart of it.
Could this maybe be fiction using all your calculations? With the giants, I'll kill your lofty genius intuition. Using arms of a dozen like it, there will be no complication. We'll be strangers then.
We'll be strangers then.
After all of this is gone, we won't even know each other.
Nope. Poof. But what a love song. What a love song. And you know, the line about lost always is where you look last, I found it in the last place I looked. Obviously you found it in the last place you looked, because if you find it, you're not going to keep looking. But this idea that like, we think that love is supposed to be the process of looking, you know, of like, oh, I can't find my keys, where is it, you know, like that's what we're told that love is supposed to be, like getting to the happily ever after part of it, it's over then. That's when it's over. That's the end of the story. You know, so when I find the keys, it's like, oh, got it, got the love, okay, the end. But that's not what that is. That's not what love is. And that's not what this song is. That's the beginning. You find the keys, that's the beginning. Now you get to go out and live your life. Yeah. But that's what we're told the journey is to be like constantly seeking and, you know, uprooting and making it work. And oh man, if I can only just, you know, effort it into existence. But that's like not, that hasn't been fruitful for me, you know? And I think your song really does that. It like holds space for that. It's like, oh yeah, now my life is starting. So also in the recording process of that song, I just remember we also got to have Ani DeFranco play on that song. We were in the studio and we were working on it, and then creating this bed that we wanted it to be full and feel really like cinematic and very epic sounding, but we also couldn't be too much because the balance of the song had to be just right. Let's just ask Ani if she can do it. So we emailed her and she did it, and she plays this it's so subtle, but to me it like I wait for it every time I listen back to that song, because it really just takes it and like just puts that little bit of glimmer on it that I think if it didn't have that, there would still be like that it puts that like magic shine on it in this way that it kind of needs, because it is so thick, you know. Gem of the day.
I want to talk about your song.
It's called Look at Me. You wrote the string arrangement for it. I remember. That's for sure a love song.
Did I make you proud? It's too late for your answer now.
So when I was making my record Push, I had written a bunch of songs, mostly on ukulele, but some of them were just like vocal demos, some of them were on piano. I gave all these demos out to different composer friends of mine who I wanted to work with and let them pick which ones they wanted to work on. You thankfully chose Look at Me, which I was so grateful for, because I was like, I don't want anybody else to touch this song. You're the only person that I could imagine.
And I didn't get any context for anything.
I didn't tell you, no. I didn't want you to know, because I wanted you to just take it for what it was and put your own voice on it.
Right.
And I thought you could do that, and the other composers too, but I thought everybody could do that better, not hearing my side of the story. Right. I have performed that song exactly once. I hope to never perform it ever again. I never want to. Yeah, really? I do not want to. That was one of the most excruciating performances I have ever done. Thankfully, the rest of it went great, the rest of that show. And it went well. I mean, it did go well, but it was not easy for me to do that.
Like my experience with Good Death, where I feel like it transports me into like such tenderness that I'm like, I can leave it that tenderness there.
Yeah. Look at Me more it just immediately is grief. just grief and rage. I feel grateful that I can use music to help me process my big complicated feelings that often, you know, big love or big grief or big sadness or big regret. I'm still working on how to process rage. I don't know how to do that really. And that was my first attempt at it, which listening to it is a very tender, gentle song. So one might not assume that it is rageful, but it is incredibly rageful for me. I want to do that more. I need to tap into my rage more in my music and find a way to do that in a way that still feels authentic to me. And I don't think genre has anything to do with that. It's literally just how much do I allow myself to have that experience of going, okay, I'm going to put it out here so that I can understand it better and be in relationship to it. Right. But I don't want to be in relationship to my rage. I want to be in relationship to my like big love feelings. Right. I don't want to be in relationship to my rage. I'm like, get out of here. You're not invited. But I need to learn how to invite it, or else it's gonna come get me in the end at some point. So it's time, you know. I'm feeling more and more ready for that. Thanks for helping me do that.
Do you have a favorite love song written by another artist that you turn to?
Love song? It's not a romantic love song, but it kind of does the thing that I want to be doing with my rage music. Cloud Busting by Kate Bush.
What attracts you to it specifically?
The melody is just incredible. And the melody, the rhythm, the fact the lyrics are just... It opens with the lyric, I still dream of Organon. Okay, well, goodbye! Like, poof, there I go, off the planet. Like, I'm done. Like, that's perfect. That's a perfect lyric to me. I don't know. I love it. And then the way that she has beats in it. The beat just is so driving. Mm-hmm. And so it makes me feel like I am in love with a completely unlovable person. Like I have this connection to this person who is completely impossible. You know, and it just does it for me. Like it just nails it. And she never says that. She never says that. It's all beneath this story. And again, that could be completely just my interpretation of it. I don't know what her intention was to choose to write about this. But like, to be taken to that place every time. And it is, for me, both comforting and cathartic, which is hard. That's a hard balance, I think. Sometimes when something's comforting, it's by its nature not cathartic. I need sometimes my comfort to be really like a container.
Oh, the comfort to be...
Yeah, and for me, catharsis is often like bursting through the container. Yeah. But she manages to do both at the same time. Every time it rains, you're here in my head like the sun coming out.
You teach songwriting in many different capacities. Mm-hmm. As a teacher, as a person who is teaching songwriting, how would you go about showing what the elements are of love songs?
Of a love song? That's really interesting. You know, it's funny that you say that, because I specifically have left love songs out of my curriculum.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
Because I think it's inevitable that they'll all end up love songs anyway. So I don't really talk about it as a thing. Yeah,
that's so interesting. But why not? But why not talk about it then?
Not that it's off the table. No topic is off the table. It's more about. Well, first of all, I think it's important to, especially when someone has never written a song before, to talk about some tools to give them. So rather than being like, here's a genre or a theme, and it can be frustrating for my students because I'm starting them with very basic, like, okay, we're going to talk about prosody, we're going to talk about repetition, we're going to talk about sampling, we're going to talk about sensuality, meaning like activating the five senses. Like I keep it really very like giving you bricks. Like, here's a bunch of Legos, 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 and then at the end of it, eventually, you're going to have the building blocks that you need to then build whatever structure you want. But I think it's important for me to not focus in on it at the beginning, because if someone feels pressure that they need to write a love song, immediately it's not good enough. And I think that's just...
Why? That's so interesting.
I just think that's true of every song.
The expectation that a love song be...
Because love is unfathomable. It's unfathomable. How do you touch infinity? You can't touch that. Here, write a song about infinity. They clam up. So it's too scary. Yeah.
I would rather get a discombobulated, needy, totally confused love letter written in scrawl than nothing at all.
Yeah.
Or than at least an attempt to tap into this deep well of how I'm experiencing
And
you
that's
right
going
now.
back to this idea of like the binary, right? Like there's a way to write a love letter and everything else is not it. There is the way to write a love song, everything else is not it. Like a little kid drawing you a picture is a fucking love letter.
Right.
That's the most amazing hit. Like, do we actually learn something from the container that it's being presented in?
That's
You
an
know?
interesting question,
And I
yeah.
think that that's why I don't teach, here's how to do a love song. But if somebody has never written a song and you just go, oh, write a love song, it's like, But if you get them some tools, have them have some fun. Because my main thing with songwriting teaching is we play music. Play music. It's play. It has to be play for me. That doesn't mean it's not going to come out deep and meaningful and serious. But it just means we have to start with play. We get to start with play. And let it be light. Let it be natural and playful. You can always go back and educate and hone and edit later. But to start from this generative, playful place. So then if I say, okay, write a love song, you stop playing. But if I say, tell me about the first time you ever had ice cream. You're going to write a love song. It's not going to be about a person. Or maybe it will. You know? Like,
So
you're going to have...
You're removing the trigger word of love.
100%.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, for me, you have to. Because I can't deal with it. If someone says to me, like, write me a love song, I'm like, no, I don't want to. I don't like it. It's too big.
What makes something a love song to you?
What makes something a love song to me? Truth. Maybe some truth in there. Some unknowable... Ooh! This is a great question. I just had a Emily. Truth and an element of something that I can't control. And I'm not saying that uncontrollable thing is always negative. I don't think that's the case. Sometimes the uncontrollable thing can be how reckless I would feel if I lost you, or, you know, how it feels to lose somebody. But also, sometimes it's just like how unbridled it feels to allow myself to experience pure joy in safety. Like, I can't control that. Something that's just out of
Obstacle.
my hands. It's just out of my hands. There's just nothing I can do about it. I'm powerless in that situation. Then that's why I write the song, is because that's my act of surrender.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't need to write the song. Like Good Death. It's like, here's the truth. You're very much telling the truth in that song. And then the uncontrollable thing is that this is it. The end of it is not up to me. It's clearly going to end. When and how is maybe up to me, but not if.
As a person who writes a lot of instrumentals, I've written a lot of instrumental love songs.
Yeah, I
love
hear that.
Pieces.
Yeah.
And I question, like, what made this a love piece?
Well, you can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I think it
it's
has
intent.
the same elements.
It's intent.
It has the same elements of it tells the truth, and there's something out of your control.
that it has to be done.
It's just unstoppable. You can't not do it.
Thank you for talking to me about love songs.
So we do a reverse intro.
What's a reverse intro?
Hello, this is Emily Hope Price.
Wait.
Like backwards.
That's reverse.
That's true. That's true. Wait, how would you do? Jam of the day. Jam of the day. We're insane.
I think it's gonna work.
This is good. Jam of the day. The Good Death by Pearl and Beard.
Oh,
That's what I wanted.
Okay.